There's a revolution going around. Max coins, if found. You're indebted, don't you get up in around town. And if you let it, don't you let it get you from town. There's a revolution you wanna join. Get started, get some Bitcoin. You're just indebted, don't you get it, don't forget it. If you let it raise it this, yeah. No, let me tell you in a way that's understood. This is a thing called reverse running good. Take from the poor, give to the rich. Count to the more, like the bitch. They've been paying this game since forever. You're not to fight and praise the people together. So in the game they control, hell no. It's easy to win when you're right to the casino. There's a revolution going around. Max coins, if found. You're indebted, don't you get up in around town. And if you let it, don't you let it get you from town. There's a revolution you wanna join. Get started, get some Bitcoin. You're just indebted, don't you get it, don't forget it. If you let it raise it this, yeah. So let me tell you in a way that's understood. This is a thing called reverse running good. Take from the poor, give to the rich. Count to the more. When you've been into Bitcoin for as long as I've been, and you've been around the block and you've seen what I've seen, you ain't gonna get a shock until you've seen a Mount Gox in the Africa I've been. Who can is such the big Gox and the ambient Gox who can't understand? Man, some of you even mad cause my Bitcoins are stuck in Japan. Fuck you better those cause I don't care. Just give me my coins, I'll be out of your head. 20% was all that was fair. The rest disappeared into thin air. Man Gox, the Gox got to stop. 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 Man Gox, the Gox got to stop.
Welcome back to another episode of the Audionals show. Got some interesting things to talk about tonight. Just to, I think the title says it. Generating audio in a on-chain environment. It's going to be a new level for us to take on-chain music. Certainly on-chain music when it comes to Bitcoin. But in the meantime, I thought I'd play some of the inscriptions that I don't really play very often. I find myself repeating a lot of the stuff that's on there because it's such a small selection, so I thought I'd play some that I don't listen to so often. And then I did post in the Discord if anyone, I've got no guests tonight, so if anyone does fancy joining me for a bit of a chat about anything, just jump in the Audionals show channel on the Audionals Discord and come and join me and let's chat.
There's a revolution going around. Max coins, if found. You're in.
Okay, I already played that one, didn't I? Let's try this guy.
Banksters, fucking wankers, financial terrorists, us fucking gangsters. I'm beat banksters, fucking wankers, financial terrorists, us fucking gangsters. I'm beat banksters, fucking wankers, financial terrorists, us fucking gangsters. I'm beat banksters, fucking wankers, financial terrorists, us fucking gangsters. Terror's the fear that they want you to join. Burn all your fears and get some Bitcoin. Terror's the fear that they want you to join. Burn all your fears and get some Bitcoin. Some beat banksters, fucking wankers, financial terrorists, are fucking gangsters. Some beat banksters, fucking wankers, financial terrorists, are fucking gangsters. Those motherfuckers up high and get some max coins. We fight for what's right and avoid those motherfuckers up high and get some max coins. Some beat banksters, fucking wankers, financial terrorists, are fucking gangsters. Some beat banksters, fucking wankers, financial terrorists, are fucking gangsters. We fight for what's right and avoid those motherfuckers up high and get some max coins. We fight for what's right and avoid those motherfuckers up high and get some max coins. We fight for what's right and avoid those motherfuckers up high and get some max coins. We fight for what's right and avoid those motherfuckers up high and get some max coins.
I really like that one. I might have to listen to that again.
For anyone who's ever suffered the incompetence of a bank or bristled at fees involved in spending money, the promise of Bitcoin is a kind of holy grail of payment. Virtual online currency was traded back in 2009 by a Japanese hacker. Bitcoins are booming. Unregulated, totally anonymous.
So I can see Nat is in the Discord here. Let's see if he's there now. Are you there, Nat? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Hey, how are you?
Yeah, how's it going, man? Good.
Not too bad. What have you been up to?
Oh, bloody hell. work and more work.
What's top of the agenda at the moment?
Oh, mate, Coin Scrum, we're having a completely new rollout, and obviously last year we spent just kind of rebooting the community back from after the pandemic. So got a lot of new plans coming forward in 2024, institutional events coming back. We've got some courses that will be running as well with some major universities throughout the year. And we'll be hopefully take Coin Scrum back to the worldwide stage as well. So yeah,
awesome,
exciting times.
Whereabouts in the world?
I'm not sure where we'll go to first, but at the moment, the moment we're looking at like a couple of different, or we're talking to, shall I say, a couple of different events to see if we can, you know, get in some community media partnerships, and then we can get to those places first. But where we're going to actually run the first kind of international coin scrum, we're not 100% yet. Not 100% on that one yet. But it will be after Q1 because, you know, Q1, the big event in Q1 is going to be the institutional event. Exciting.
Brilliant. It's going to be a lot lined up in 2024. I can feel.
Oh, yes. And there's also another thing that I'm doing quite similarly is, which I've got to get you and Dash on for this, but I'm also going to be starting a podcast for musicians.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so it's called the Sovereign Music Podcast. And just getting the first episode done in a minute. So I want to record obviously a couple of episodes before it drops, but there is a Twitter up now. There is a block survey form for artists and guests that want to come on to the show, and it will be basically exploring artists' journey as an independent artist through the music industry and what technologies they're using to monetize. And then on the other side of that, if they are not using obviously Bitcoin, Web3 stuff to monetize, then maybe that becomes an introduction for them. And if not, it's a place where they'd be able to come and discuss what they do know about it, and you know, find out from me some cool places that they can end up, like Audionals.
Yeah, excellent. I was chatting to someone the other day who works in a music college, and they were asking me if I could go and talk to the students about some sort of Web3 stuff. And then he suggested, you know, would I like to show them the Audionals platform? I was like, oh my God, that's exactly what I need, is just loads of people with creative time on their hands who can kind of sit down and muck about with stuff until some good sounds start to evolve. Would be amazing.
I'm glad you said that, because I think I did send you the information for it just at the end of last year, but it was all busy, right? But I think I sent you, there's a conference happening, and I believe it's going to be in person. Last year, I think they ended up doing it online, but I believe it's going to be a hybrid this year. The conference happening, I think it's actually next month, called Measure of Music. And they actually talk about the dissection between music and technology at that conference. So what I was going to say to you is what I'd already kind of put forward, because I spoke to the lady who runs it about 2 years ago now. And she invited me to the one last year. So as I said, I logged in, I watched quite a bit of that. And this year's one, I noticed that again, they didn't really have anything like, you know, Web3 or Bitcoin or anything like that in their list. So, I mean, that was pretty early days, obviously. They hadn't announced everything yet. So I kind of reached out to her and I said, hey, you know, is anybody talking about, like, you know, the intersection between Bitcoin and music? Is nobody talking about, like, you know, NFTs? Is nobody talking about V for V? And she was like, I don't even know what, like, she's like, I've heard of NFTs and I know there's some people using NFTs, but we haven't had nobody talk about it yet. And what the hell is V for V? And I was just like, well, listen, I'll come back to you. I'll come back to you. Let me speak to a few people and I'll come back to you. So I was going to try and actually get a panel together, yeah, hopefully with yourself. I haven't figured the third person, but yourself, Adam Curry, who's the guy who created V for V. And or was it Podcasting 2.0 he created? Sorry. And then I was trying to think of somebody else. I know I'd probably be good for it myself, but you know, if I can't find nobody else, then maybe it's just me. Hey, isn't it, right? But I could probably speak to Tommy as well, right?
Yeah, I was going to say Tommy otherwise as well. Yeah, Tommy would be a good one.
Yeah. So I think that would be a really fucking good panel, because like Tommy's like wider Web3 space. Your Bitcoin, Audionals, yeah, and Stacks and Bitcoin L2s, and Adam is Lightning, V for V, podcasting 2.0. So it'd be a really
Covering
good
the
panel
full
to have all
gamut.
three of you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's gonna blow people's minds if that panel happens, because, like I said, they haven't had anything like remotely near this happen at that conference, and it's about music and tech. So people are coming there to literally see what is happening in music and tech. Like,
Amazing. It's I was still, I think I probably said to you when I met you in London at the conference, you know, I was just still really quite amazed that I was there talking about music at a Bitcoin conference, you know, like, and not in a sort of, you know, in the way that we'd all sort of spoken about and thought about for years, but actually in like practical utility things that we're actually doing, music on chain. You know, crazy how much things can change in a short space of time on Bitcoin.
so yeah. Yeah. So what's going on? What's been going on with you anyway?
Well, the
Seen a
last
lot of upgrades happening.
there's a big one coming, probably the biggest one that I've been waiting for a long time. It's just been a little bit the coding has been sort of been defeated by it regularly over the last few weeks, trying to get the synthesizer working. So it's obviously I've got the synth. I've actually even got there's an inscribed synth. I think I inscribed, you know, in the low millions, I think. But what I hadn't kind of got my head around was how to get the synthesizer, how to sort of capture the settings and what you're playing, and then import that. So how to basically load the synthesizer in the sequencer so that you can then have a channel for synths, or any, you know, up to 16 channels of synths to mix with the audio. And then, because this really is the first time, this is why I mentioned in the title of the show that this is on-chain procedural generation of audio. So using software and algorithms, we can generate what, you know, people would expect to hear from high quality audio that you don't get on the audio that has been inscribed. You know, people have had to really reduce the bit rates of audio that's inscribed, and so you can really hear that. And so this is going to be the first time we're going to start hearing some hybrids. I mean, still going to be some elements of remixing. We can still go and grab any elements of songs that exist on chain. I think I mentioned in a previous show, Rare Skrilla we're planning something, some sort of Skrilla remix type thing. He's going to set up a preset on the player with a load of samples that he's chosen, and then people can start remixing. And then we can start actually, you know, inscribing these new songs, and sort of really start to look into the real utility here, which is the ability to inscribe singles or albums for like $1 and distribute them on chain. So
oh shit! You know I'm all the way in on that. Skrilla's got something to do with it. I'm all the way fucking in on that.
having the synth, I think, is going to make a really big difference. You know, because, you know, the synth that I've got. Did I load this up? I don't know if you can hear this. Let me see if I got this loaded up, because I think I did.
I know you showed me. I know you showed me when it was just keynote buttons, and then you showed me again when you had, I think it's like a piano.
Yeah, so I tried the
the
piano. I mean, there's more the sound. I've gone back to the basics, because really the idea with this is that it is really about hang on, I've got to create another browser window. I'm trying to operate OBS at the same time as talking, and I'm not good at multitasking at the best of times. But yep, I've actually forgotten what I was saying already. Fill for me, Nat. What am I trying to do here? Browser, synthesizer.
I'm actually, as you're saying that, I'm literally like sending a message to Adam Curry. I'm gonna see if I could get his name.
Remove. Sorry, I'm getting getting myself in a twist here, just trying to get this right browser. So I want a window capture, is that the one? I think it is. Right, so synth. Let's see if I can get this working. Right, Chrome, Chrome, Google Chrome, Audionals synth, there we go. Okay, so if I cut to this, and then I can show you this guy. So this is the synth. I've got to plug my MIDI in, which means I'm going to have to unplug the power. This is where it's all going to go wrong, and my laptop is going to crash in the middle of the stream, but I'll give it a go. Unplug the power. Plug my MIDI keyboard in. Oh no, the cable's too big. Okay, I'm going to have to unplug my mic to do this, which isn't ideal, but I'll do it just for a second.
Yeah, I can hear it. Yeah. It sounds pretty. Is that all online? Yeah, because that sounds pretty. Oh shit! So that sounds. What are you using to play that? What are you using to play that? Your keyboard, or are you using a MIDI keyboard? Oh, you're taking a mick, mate. Oh my god, that sounds so low latency. It's unbelievable, right?
Let me just, okay, I've
Because
just
I
had
can
to
hear
I've
you
just
pressing the keys.
I just had to
and I can hear the
unplug
sound, right? And it's
I just
very
had to
low latency.
I just had to unplug the keyboard because nobody can hear me talking. So I'm going to go to using the keyboard on the computer now, just to keep it going. But yeah, it's this is like any soft synth that I've used in Logic. You know, I plug my USB keyboard in. I've built in the you know, it's got the MIDI API built in, so you literally just plug your keyboard. You literally, like with the other one, you just load the ordinal, plug your keyboard in, you're away. But this one is way better because we got stuff like, you know, we're able to record. So we're able to take, and I'm not going to be able to do this now because I've got the keyboard unplugged. I can play it on here, and I can show you what they're like. But what I can do is I can hit record the MIDI, and then I press this download JSON recording. And then we get this beautiful tiny little file, which is around 300 bytes, and that's for like a 4-bar loop of bass lines. And you know, you can got all these different effects on here. So we've got the attack. I'm going to add some more stuff on here just to make it a bit.
So what? Hold on one sec. So what did you? What did you save that as? Did you save that as?
It's a JSON
Did
file.
you save that as a sound? So the whole thing is in JSON file, like there's no sound font or anything like that.
There's just oscillators, you know, just JavaScript oscillators that are, you know, a bunch of oscillators pulled together.
Shit! Very nice. So you did it. You've done it kind of like by building the parts for the synth on chain as well, basically.
Yeah. So
that's crazy.
Yeah, and so here I'm just loading.
Do you know
now.
what? Right.
So if I go to load MIDI recording, I'll go in here, and this is
a.
Yeah, like I said, this one, in fact, this one's not compressed. This is 3 kilobytes. But so this is a 3 kilobyte one. When I compress it, it'll probably be about 800 bytes. Play that. So that's just one loop. But then obviously in the sequencer, we can now just trigger this with so the sequencer can be playing this button. So when we get hit a trigger point, yeah, so but so this it's a game changer, because this means that we can then capture those bass lines, bring them back into the sequencer, bring them into here, where we can then start to actually make real songs. Like start to make stuff that sounds.
I'm going to work, Jim. I'm going to work.
Well, I haven't put the synth in here yet. The synth, I literally, like I said, it's been evading me getting it working for the last few months, and just the last 3 or 4 days, it suddenly fell into place. I've still got it integrated into the sequencer, but I reckon it's a day or two of work. I've got the engine ready to go, so the engine is ready to be inscribed. So because obviously the engine needs to be inscribed before it'll work. And I was thinking of doing a little collection. In fact, something else I've been working on. Can I show you this? Is a load, like a bunch of visualizers. Let's see if this works. Snap on the thing there. Yeah, so you can see that. So this is basically 16 visualizer windows. Can you see that now? Are you able to see the stream as well while I'm doing this, or?
I'm gonna go back to the stream now because I had it on another tab. Hold on one second.
Then you'll be able to see this, because what I'm trying to do here, what I've been conscious of, is that what we really do need is the ability to kind of make music videos, with the audio sequencer. So the idea being that you can have, we could do this anyway, where you have some audio and then you go and you find the on-chain elements. But I thought, what about building some visualizers that you can then, when you play a bass line, you can see how that bass line sounds across a whole range of visualizers, and then you can decide, okay, this is the visualizer that I'm going to lock to this sample. So now when anyone grabs this bass line, it's always got, so when you're looking at it, rather than it just being an audio file or just something boring, or text, which is like the Audionals, they're just text, it's boring. This will be, the Audional file is there, but actually it's embedded in HTML alongside with its own visualizer. So when you look at it, you can see it all. It's got a visual aspect, even though it is still just an audio sample. But I've just got to load in. If I just load,
let's go.
If I load some audio here, MP3, see what I've got. Here we go. Just grab that one, maybe.
Yeah, I can see it now. I'm watching.
So, I don't know if that was a. Let me just check I may get some issues here. Yes, I'm getting a origin, so I'm going to have to go into. So this is what I was trying to avoid doing, was opening my my VS Code to launch this on a local server, so I can demo it. But it looks super cool once you get it going. It looks super cool. And I just think it just adds another very cool element to the whole idea of creating and distributing on chain. Where is it? So that's visualizer. Okay. So into there. And okay, open with live server. Let's see if this works. 5501. Okay, so here we go. So now let's try this again. Load a song. Oh, the audio.
Oh, that's crazy.
You can't hear the music. The music's not playing because it's just.
Well, Well, yeah, all I can hear is that
It's just
like
clicking.
really
But
fast
anyway,
pulsing
yeah,
sound.
that's because I've just got too
It's
much going on here.
it's giving me all the pulses for the keys, right? But no, yeah.
Try see if because I've closed down the thing. See if that, no. Yeah, it's just doing it's just making noise there. But yeah, you get the idea. It's you know, you've got like 24 different visualizers, and then what I thought I'd do is I'd have 24 visualizers behind each of those individual sort of displays. You click on it, and then you get 24 of the same style, but all with different colors. So it's like you can first of all figure out, okay, that particular visualizer works really well with this bass line I'm playing. So now if I click that one's the first one, but now there's another 23 with different colorways that I could select from. And then, because then of course, in a very simplistic way, if you then went and did a kind of remix using all of these different samples, what you could do is just have a kind of have it set up so that the player doesn't just play the audio, but it also plays. It can play the image that's already attached. Not like you have to. It's not like lots of code. You're just saying, okay, you're in this file, but while you're there and we're playing the audio, if I have a visual element, you might as well just show me what's there. And if you've got all these visualizers, that would be kind of cool. And then you could add additional code if you didn't want them to be cut exactly like that. But it just does add it's almost that parent-child relationship. You know, it takes away some of the work that you might have to do with code. And in the same way, having a file that contains multiple files within it that you can access also means, you know, you can access and use one of them, or you can use both, or you can recursively use some of the code as well. You know, there's no limit.
Crazy.
So yeah, so
That's
hopefully
crazy.
I think that'll be, once I get that synth in there, and like I said, I'm going to do a little sort of demo collection just to. I was thinking about kind of like SPD type thing where you're sort of getting, say I sort of put together 100 samples that are all in the same key, all in tempos that are either the same or sort of, you know, can be put together, and then sort of create. I'm imagining it's a bit Stranger Things. I was imagining sort of doing a collection where it's just synth stuff. I'm not going to worry about audio, but just get like 16 synth channels looped up, create some kind of spooky Stranger Things type vibe, and then put them out with visualizers, and then create some kind of a UI where you can then pull them in and kind of, you know, trigger them, sort of thing, like, and then, you know, just sort of like mix them together, and but more of a visual bit, just like the sequencer, but a bit more of a visual fun thing, less trying to technically create the tools for people to write a full song, and more like, hey, here's Fruity Loops, here's some loops with some visuals.
Yeah.
You know, yeah.
What was I going to say, right? So with the visual side of things and the visualizers, is there? I'd imagine this is probably further down the line, but is there kind of any plan to have like people be able to either upload their motion graphics or whatever they would need to create a visualizer, or maybe some type of plugin for an open source visualization creator or something like that?
I mean, I got to say that those 24 that I just showed you before, I was just wondering if I'm able to show, like, play, because there is a way to just play a file, isn't there, that so we can hear it, because
So I'm just thinking, what if people are uploading like crazy like using the visualizations and like slapping them together with other visualizations, like as you said, and then having like, you know, some. I'm going too far, right? Editor tool, right?
no such thing.
Yeah.
No such
Where they
thing.
can,
Roll
you know,
with it.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm just trying to find the actual video that I took, because that will make it a bit. There we go. Is that it? No. So I took I did a recording yesterday, which if I can find that, I could show you. That. I think it's on a different computer. But yeah, it took me. I think I couldn't really sleep, and I ended up getting up at about midnight, and then between midnight and 3 a.m. I did that with, building a basic template to say, okay, I need the variables we're going to be looking at. We're going to be getting triggers from different frequencies. We're going to be getting triggers from volume. We're going to be getting triggers to do with rhythm, and you sort of package all of that up into a kind of basic template, and then actually the code you then drop on top of that to then get that fairly diverse range of effects. Oh, here we go. This is small, and so what you can then do is you can use stuff like GPT to just go, okay, here's the 3 lines that makes the big difference in this code. Can you give me like 20 versions of those 3 lines? Varying these different things, and then you get these sort of 20. It's a little bit trial and error doing it that way. If you really know what you're doing, you may work quicker doing it. But I really liked it. I used to, as a musician, I used to regularly do things. I really liked that kind of random element, because it's my ear I'm relying on to hear something and go, that's it. And so this very much as well is a bit suck it and see. It's like, okay, give me 20 versions, and then I'll look at those 20 versions, and there'll be 3 absolute standouts that I'll pull out. And then maybe I'll then take those standouts and say, okay, here are these 3. Now give me 10 versions of each of these 3. And, you can slowly, build up. But like I said, it took me 3 hours to come up with those 24 that I was kind of ready to go with. Right, let's see if this works now. If I do this. Okay, so it's sitting over there. See if it'll play. I don't know what's going to happen.
Got me thinking in crazy mode, like it's Serato opens up. Sure it's Serato.
It's like each of those are all different. So I've got like, I want you to see there's like
Yeah. different, but the way I could group these, so once you go, okay, I quite like that effect, okay, now we can make all these stuff for
windows are that effect, but with just some variations. The colour thing is different. For example, or the speed of it is different. The speed of the reaction is different. But, it's just I can't wait really to get this to a point where people can really start getting creative. My concern really right now still is just where are we taking this on layer 2? Because while it's fun and it's awesome and it's a great concept on Bitcoin, like certainly when it comes to just distributing regular music, I'm going to turn this off. I don't think people will be able to hear us. But because of those high costs, I just think for for musicians, you know, who are distributing music, it's one thing to say, okay, the production cost of this album is $1, great, and the album, the player, it's a player, and it's not just for playing your music, it's media, it's the ability to, like, you know, connect with your audience. You can even send messages through it. You know, all these things happen with this player. It really, you know, revolutionizes things. And again, if it only costs $1 to produce, fantastic. But now you have to say, oh yeah, but it's going to cost your audience like $5 to transact, to like send the transaction to buy it. Obviously, I was chatting to the artist today, and he was telling me some really interesting stuff about sort of airdrops, and you know, the cost that the cost can be reduced. I think they did some clever stuff with some ninjas things, you know, being able to airdrop at a much lower cost than it would cost to actually just inscribe everything individually. But it still just feels to me like it's friction we don't need. It's friction that the crypto community are used to and are prepared to deal with. But in terms of like getting into the real world and making a difference, we have to find a better way, and that's where it's like looking like this layer 2. Some of the stuff I've been doing with Audionals and looking at Stacks inscriptions, they've started allowing audio files to be added. Stacks inscriptions, I tried to inscribe one yesterday, but it failed for some reason. I need to keep going at that, and I'm going to look into how we can start doing stuff recursively. But it just feels to me like we're setting people up. Even with the whole SBTC thing and Nakamoto, if you imagine someone might go, okay, I'm interested. You've piqued my interest. SBTC, what is it? Right. So I can take my Bitcoin and I can move it into an environment where I can make 5-second transactions, and I can participate in a sort of economy where I can fling around my Bitcoin in seconds, and then whenever I want to, I can take it back and put it back in my Bitcoin wallet. But so this person puts $100 in, they play around with it for 6 months or a year, and they go, oh, okay, look, I'm going to put this $100, or maybe it's $200 now, I'm going to put this back in my Bitcoin wallet. But then they get there and it's like, oh, the fees are so high now that it's going to cost you $30 to get this back into your wallet. And that
to get the dust.
Yeah, and it feels like it's kind of it's a bit of a one-way street. And this obviously is just talking finance, but this also will be like your NFTs. You know, if you've got an NFT that's worth, you know, $100, but it costs you $20 to send it anywhere, like how can you trade that? Like it just gets all the friction that all the marketplaces have been trying to, you know, shed away while making a little bit of money, but generally trying to keep the friction out. All of that just becomes uncontrollable to the point where you just end up with NFTs that just can't move anywhere. And then I think we're going to end up then having to try to find solutions for that. Like imagine, I mean, it's just theoretical, but imagine we go 10 or 20 years down the line and now Bitcoin is literally the global reserve. There are very few Bitcoin transactions happening every day because Bitcoin transactions have become immensely expensive, and the transactions themselves are in the billions, hundreds of billions. These are like countries settling between one another, and anything that's on that chain is just stuck. And then, yeah, like I said, we kind of end up trying to find solutions for going, what do you do with that data? Because it's like, okay, well, the data's on chain, so that's really special, but I can't read it from another chain. I can't do anything within Bitcoin. It just feels like it's moving to this kind of layer 2 solution, to say, I need to be able to trade this thing quickly, and I need to not have to factor in these enormous fees. And, I settle on Bitcoin, but really the security of layer 2s, like look at Ethereum. We've all gone on for how long about how more secure we feel Bitcoin is, and how more the greater permanence that we feel it represents. And yet all these other tokens and chains have really just proven that it's such a robust design that you're talking the difference between like the most secure chain being Bitcoin, if we were to pitch that at being 99.9% secure, your sort of next level of security down the line is probably 99.8, and that's what we've been arguing against. Is we're saying, yeah, it has to be on Bitcoin, because this, and which is still true, that still stands, but it's like, now that we can start moving to Bitcoin layer 2s, I think we can start to relax a little bit and say, you don't, it still might, not your keys, not your crypto, you still have to maintain that. But it's like, yeah, do you have to store it in Bitcoin? I think if Stacks was accepted as the smart layer, its price would stabilize. It would still be completely as it is now, locked to Bitcoin. But once we get into that macro, more stability, less volatility, that should pass on to Stacks as well. And then I just think you'll end up in a situation where there's, that it's just security, because actually the two are so interlinked that, you don't feel the need to have to store it in Bitcoin. Obviously, we're still in that world right now where you definitely want to store it in Bitcoin. Don't get me wrong. I'm always just looking quite far into the future just to try and see where are we working towards. And in the future, it will be very different. Right now, Bitcoin crashes. What happens to Stacks? It went down, 4 times heavier than Bitcoin. That's kind of the way these things go. But I think eventually that security and that volatility, the volatility will fade. I just think it's going to be a very different world. And in fact, some of these NFTs that live on Bitcoin are going to be sort of little oddities, part of history, but it'll just be too expensive to even consider doing anything. Even the stuff we're looking at now, like these players, when I first got the player done, like sort of back 6 months ago, I calculated that the production cost was, I think, like 4 cents. So I'm like, this is amazing. So I can now come in here, produce in this environment, and then you can produce a player that plays all the songs that you've produced in this environment for 4 cents. I was like, this is incredible. And then everything happened with the fees. And then before you know it, it's $1. And it's like, but $1 is still acceptable. Don't get me wrong. When I first started this project, before I learned how to really compress the data, that's what I was aiming for. I had a player that was going to cost $2. And I was like, this is still competitive with the real world. Then I got it down to $1. Then I got it to 4 cents, and then the fees went exponential. Now it's back to $1, despite being a tiny player. A few hundred bytes, 150 bytes or something. So it's I think we can see that this is the part that we're not going to. There's certain elements of this we're not going to be able to fix, like just a Bitcoin transaction. It's like people going, there'll be a solutions for this, that, and the other. It's like, yeah, but if you're doing something on chain, that's not where you find the solution. The solution isn't there. No one's going to find a way to make Bitcoin transactions cheaper. It doesn't work that way. So I feel like some of these NFT things are kind of destined to just get stuck. And that's where there's now people talking. I mean, I think the Audionals guys were talking about, a way to bridge your Bitcoin data to the smart layer as well. Even though, it sounds like it's a concept, because like you don't actually move any data anywhere. All you're doing is trying to set up a legitimate chain to prove Because obviously data that's written on Bitcoin can never go anywhere. It doesn't even move when it changes hands. You know, it's just there. It's a piece of history. It's etched in stone in a specific place, and all you're doing is saying who's got the ownership receipt. That's the Bitcoin wallet.
Yeah.
And so it's going to open an interesting conundrum, because I think some people might say, okay, yeah, I've sort of ported this. You know, I now have a receipt on Stacks or on a layer 2 that is referencing this Bitcoin data, but it's the layer 2 thing that's trading it. But you still can't take away the fact that that data on Bitcoin is still hosted in a Bitcoin wallet. And so what sort of dynamic does that create? That it's like, okay, you've accepted that someone has moved it off chain and now you're trading it here, but if it could potentially change Bitcoin hands, even though it's super expensive, and again, that wouldn't even affect what I don't know. It just gets very complicated, and it feels like we're sort of headed that way with Audionals. But yeah, I got interested to see what this. I was hearing stuff about runes today, and it just sounds like the fees are going to get a bit silly again.
Oh, what you mean about Leonard's doing this drop? You mean you reckon that's gonna? Yeah, he's doing like the biggest airdrop in history, which is like free, or biggest NFT or ordinal airdrop. Sorry,
it's like 100,000 or something. Right?
It's like 311,000 or something like that.
Oh, wow.
Of these rune stones.
So yeah, so I don't know. Again,
snapshot's already been taken, so there's no grifters.
Yeah, I haven't.
Zero
I don't
grifters.
understand how that works, and yeah, the artist was telling me earlier that there is a cheaper way that you're able to send these cheaper or something, or just because they're so very small, but it's still.
Just do it small and then batch them all into.
But that's still the same amount of data, so I can't say I fully understood, but I'm not. Fully.
Yeah.
But yeah,
or maybe they're doing recursive, and then just doing the recursive in batches, because then it's the same amount of data, but it's less data because they're not actually. Well, yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, I
don't know. I mean, like, I haven't looked deeply into it. I just know I've seen the tweets. People have been telling me about it and been like, oh, you can check your wallet on this site or whatever. And the thing is with me is I've got like a load of fucking inscriptions that are stuck in.
Yeah, my stuff just went through today. It seems to. I had a load of stuff stuck, and I've been working on a new ordinal collection of my own. Something to kind of tie. I don't know how to do the parent-child on ordinals. I need to look into that, because I did an inscription probably back in May or June last year. It was a one-off. It was just before I heard about On-Chain Monkeys having inscribed the 3JS library, because I was just sitting there going, how are we going to do 3D stuff in here? I'm like, am I going to have to build a library? And so I started kind of piecing together the bits of 3JS that I could afford to kind of I was just piecing it together bit by bit, and I did create this one kind of 3D. It would be a very early 3D things. I don't think anything else was there at that time, even though On-Chain Monkeys had already inscribed 3JS, but no one had used it. And so I kind of got this, and I thought it'd be nice to now I've created a full collection for that, and I'd like to parent-child them to that original. Got to figure that out.
Yeah, right now they're on. I know what they're doing right now is the BRC 420s. Have you seen that?
I've heard all of these things. Like when you say I haven't gone deep into it, I feel like I haven't gone deep into anything for about a year. Every time I start going deep, it's like something else comes along. It's like, oh, for Christ's sake, I've got to learn something else now.
This is DJ friends telling me stuff and me seeing DJ stuff. That's what it is. But like they've got BRC 420s, which I don't know. You've probably seen a bit about this. The Bitcoin puppets guys. They did this thing, the titanium Cheeto, the other day, right? Which was just like a really random mint. But so BRC 420 now, it's just all 3Ds. It's like all guild tiffs and everything. So So if you go to brc420.io, yeah, then you see that's the marketplace, and they got they got loads of people inscribing these BRC420s, and you can rotate them and everything, and play around with them, mess around with them in the screen, in the browser.
Oh God, Nat, I didn't need to see this. I really need focus right now, and my focus is getting more and more.
Well, that's
spread.
my thing, is I'll come and talk to you now, and I'm like, hey, Jim, I didn't need to see this. Well, that's my thing. This is my thing, right? And I'm trying to I'm still doing my bits, the music bits and stuff in the background, but I'm not trying to see too much, because it's like, hey, I'm going to spend my whole lunchtime playing with this now.
It's like a sweet shop for innovators. That's what I feel like. I just can't. Everywhere I look, I see it's not opportunity to make money, but opportunity to innovate, opportunity to do
more stuff,
new things
more money doing
people
shit.
haven't done. Yeah, to spend money doing cool stuff.
So another thing is, right, like that I've also seen is there's a guy called Metasoft. I think it's not. That's not. I think that's his company. But there's a guy that has inscribed Fortnite onto a bitmap, and like everything's orange.
What?
Right? Yeah. If you type in like Metasoft in Twitter, you'll see it. He inscribed Fortnite, like, because he's actually a Fortnite developer. His company Metasoft is like a Fortnite developer, community developer click or agency, maybe, I don't know. But he inscribed Fortnite onto one bitmap.
Seriously, dude, it's like we've spent years trying to be at the forefront, on the bleeding edge of what's going on here, and it's like a battle. It's a battle to not just be completely overtaken and be like, none of it makes sense anymore.
But that's what I'm saying. When you get to that point, none of it makes sense anymore, right? Guess what you're going to do tomorrow morning? Get up and spend money trying to do more cool shit, because you're going to be like, fuck it. This guy's already done it, so I'm going to spend time on this guy's thing, right? And then somebody else comes along and drops you a message, or in Discord or Twitter, or you just see a random tweet. It's like, oh shit, what's this? And then you're in another rabbit hole, man.
Oh my God. I mean, that's what I kind of need for Audionals, though. I kind of want that. I want someone to go, hang on, that sounds like, that's just normal audio. What's going on here? That's a regular synth. Once I think that kind of starts, everyone's going to, certainly musicians, and while it is affordable to distribute in Bitcoin, it'll just be cool for a bit. It'd be cool for a bit to be able to be sending, new audio around and not to be paying through the ear for it.
Yeah, like I said, but you know what, right? Since the fees have come down, I haven't even gone back on to try and inscribe all of those bits from before, because I had all of those bits from before, but some of them were all like 100 and something, 200 something KB. So I'm trying to get them down further.
It's never going to happen. It's never going to happen. I mean, we should get together sometime and have a look. But I mean, I wouldn't even consider at this point. I wouldn't even consider ever asking anyone to inscribe anything bigger than 10 kilobytes. Really.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Everything that I had that's under 60 kilobytes, yeah, right, or under like 30 kilobytes, that wasn't too expensive. That was like, 5-10 quid, but once you go over like 60 kilobytes, it becomes like, 100, 200,000, 300,000, 400,000 stats. Like it starts to get ridiculous at that point.
I mean, it's like I was looking today. I think I looked something up, and it was still, even just for 100 and, what was it going to be? I think 19 kilobytes. That was what I was looking at today, and that was about $100.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like last time, like I said, I went on was maybe about a week before I jumped in the show. So not last week, a week before, right? So about 2 weeks ago, and I tried to inscribe. I think it was. Let me look at the file. I think it's like 160 or something like that. I think it was, and that was like 400,000 sats for that. Like, and I was just like, yeah, I'm gonna go and stare at the moon pool now.
The only thing I really
I'm
want
just
right
gonna go
now,
and
and this is
stare at
why
the
I
moon pool.
started building, because I've built a Stacks contract, for minting, and then of course Stacks inscriptions comes along, and I'm like, oh, okay, I had a plan B, which was go back to IPFS so I can create a sandbox, but now even the goalposts for like the sandbox just moved. It's like, oh no, now there's a better way of doing that as well. There's a better layer 2 way, so I'm kind of looking into that now. But it would be, a kick drum would be amazing. And I was doing the Stacks things. I thought with Stacks there's a smart contract, which means you've got this kind of built-in indexing, which means that people who are using samples in the sequencer, I would have a way of potentially, like if people are like Stacks inscribing, soft inscribing, if you will, these tracks, that you would have, or you'd be able to monitor who's using what sample. And so you could say, okay, look, here's a kick drum sample. It's a WAV. It's like a big, lovely sounding file, but it's like $150 or $250 to inscribe. But hey, there's 50 of you using it. So it's like, if it's $100, it's like, that's like $2 each.
Oh,
so
yeah,
you all
I
just
see what you're
basically
saying.
bid together
So
and go, bang, $2 each. Now that kick drum is now inscribed on chain, and now we can all use it in our songs that we want to distribute on chain.
That's given me a different idea now, right? So we're definitely in another rabbit hole again, right? So this is giving me a different idea. So what about collectives coming together? This could actually turn into something really quickly, like collectives coming together to inscribe sample packs. So in the same way that producers
when you
put
say
out
sample pack, it's just so expensive. Like I'm sitting here thinking 50 people to inscribe a kick drum, and you're like, hey, what about a sample pack? This is like, we need like the population of Brighton, and we'll get like Crunchy Nut Loops inscribed. But I don't have the answer, but it does feel like that crowd thing. It is that kind of that what's it called, the raising money via the crowd,
like a crowdfunding.
It's
kind of effort
that way, but it's for all of you. You 100 people come together to go. Or that, what was that website? I loved that web domain name when I was younger, when the internet first came out, and somewhere it was like, we all get things cheaper if we buy in a group.com or something like that. I can't remember who it was. The first time someone had gone, hey, now that we've got the internet, you can actually find like other people who want this same thing that you want. And if you get 10 of you, you could then buy it wholesale like a shop. And that, it was kind of like, there's just that kind of idea. And this is taking it, into this realm with music, just to sort of go, hey, if there's a load of people doing stuff, or like there's a plugin, someone's designed a plugin and it's fucking ace, but it's like 250 kilobytes. It's massive because, plugins are tiny. All the reverbs and the synths I've built, they're all sub 10K. But might be something really worthwhile that's massive. It's going to cost several thousand, but hey, there's like, at this point, there's professional musicians potentially who are working in this space, working towards producing and releasing, distributing Web3 creative music in this way. And so that suddenly becomes, a thing. If there are enough pros out there who are like, I have to have this new synth, it sounds 50 times better than Jim's piece of shit, but it's 250 kilobytes. But yeah, hey, once we're in that network where there's a load of people, that would be really easy to go, hey, yeah, but there's like 1,000 users or 5,000 users of this synth. So it's literally, you just go, hey, would you all like to pay a few cents? And then rather than using this off-chain version, you can all switch to using this on-chain version, and now it can become an element in your on-chain repertoire.
Yeah. And then I wonder if there's a way to from that. So let's say you put together, so that is like, let's say everybody comes together, right, puts together a plugin, right, like you said, like a really advanced, let's say, plugin, right. Now I wonder if there's a way to give attribution for plugins upon use. So if let's say
Dude,
somebody wanted to
100%. This is
complete
what
a
I've been working on, because that's
finished
the
track. Yeah,
only if it's inscribed. Obviously, you know, you can go to the Audionals sequencer right now, and you can write a song, and you can then download that song as a JSON file, and then you can keep coming back to the sequencer, and then you could, if you wanted to, physically get out a cable, plug it in, and record it. I can't stop you doing that. It's a little bit like, you know, having like HD photos deliberately, you know, put out of focus when they're I can't even remember the word for that now. But you know, it's like deliberately
I'm thinking though,
something.
I'm thinking though, yeah, for artists who are gonna wanna, let's say, reinscribe, yeah. So they're gonna finish this track, right? They've got the JSON file. They come back to it the next day. They upload it again now, right?
Yeah.
So they've got all these effects on it, right?
Yeah.
And they, you know, I'm sure if you can get a decent compression and limiting built, then you could probably have somebody who could come along and actually master something really beautiful.
We
right?
could have the entire production chain, as you
Right.
well know, for some songs.
Yeah.
The entire production chain does exist purely in the digital domain, and so all we would have to do is say, okay, so you're a producer. What are the 5 plugins you use? Okay, there's the 5 plugins I use for this track. It's all synths and plugins and reverbs and whatnot. Okay, what's the total cost of that? Right, there's 200 kilobytes of data there. Right, they're inscribed. Now, who does your mastering? This guy. Okay, now what's your signal flow? Okay, well I run it through this and this, all these software items, and so we could literally like do a custom job for one musician that we find who goes, okay, yes, my entire production, all of my songs are basically based using digital plugins. So we're like, okay, well, we can recreate your environment. Now we can recreate a master's environment, and now we can literally have a procedurally generated process that has recorded everything that this musician has gone through to create the song, all the processes, all the software in the signal that the masterer uses to master, and then we end up with this song at the end that's not even a mix, it's just the entire process happens in front of your eyes, and every single element in that chain lives somewhere, because as we know on the Bitcoin blockchain, everything is owned by someone. There's no such thing, you know, there's no orphans. It's like if there is a reverb unit, it's in someone's wallet. Whether that's the person who built it or it's a person who bought it, we don't know. Well, the chain knows, but in terms of maybe royalties being paid or something, I guess, you know, ownership is probably the way you would go. It's like where does this exist? You know, this exists here. Everything. So that entire chain, every single plugin from the musician themselves who used all of those plugins and made their own file. They made a file which was the initial song file, which again they probably before it goes to, well, you know, I don't know when you'd inscribe it, because you could inscribe it at the end. It's all written into it, but it's like that inscription of the song is in the musician's wallet, and they've then forwarded that to the masterer, who has now added to the signal flow and then made another inscription. And so now you've got these sort of chains, which you can then just by the click of a button, the song will say, this was the masterer, like this is what the masterer did. These are the tools that the masterer used, who some may be owned by the masterer, others are owned by other people. Now we get back to the musician's mix. Here's the musician's mix, which is this is the composer. So we have the composer here, and then we have all the tools that the composer used and who they're owned by. And the composer has also done some resampling that isn't there. So there's some audio in here, but again, because this is all done, you know, sampled on chain, that audio, it might be a kick drum, but it actually leads back to a song. Because when you're hearing that kick drum, you're not hearing a re-recording of it or a reworking of it. It's playing it out of that song each time you listen to it. It's just been trimmed, so it's going through again, like my trimmer that I've built. That's like a plugin. So someone's gone, okay, I want that kick drum. So it's like, okay, the song has already got credit because they're the song exists in a Bitcoin wallet, a Bitcoin address. We are accessing that Bitcoin address to access the data for that song. And then we're going, this is the bit we want, the kick drum. And how are we going, this is the bit we want, the kick drum? That's my trimmer. So now my trimmer is a Bitcoin address that says this Bitcoin address was used to grab the kick drum from this Bitcoin address. And, you know, that chain just goes on and on and on. So it's incredible, dude. It's like it's going to
it's
revolutionize everything, but it's going to take
revolutionary.
Exactly. We've got that critical mass. I don't know how far away that is. You know, how long I've got to go blue in the face trying to convince people that this is the way. But it's like, you know, there's a lot of chicken egg situations here, which is why with Audionals I'm trying to make it fun, trying to make it so it's got the technical capabilities. If a professional musician goes in there and says, I want to do something, you know, I need some of the things that I'm used to using, but then at the same time, I want my kids to be able to sit down with it and play for hours. So I'm trying to move back to that sort of angle now, which is trying to find the fun in it. Even if it's simplifying it, creating a kind of Fruity Loops style collection, just to show, okay, here's a collection, but it also works in this sequencer where you're making music in more of a DAW type environment, but now there's this middle ground where it exists as a piece of art that can be pulled into like a fun player where you can then tap, you know, like on your iPhone, tap the screen, it plays this loop, that sort of, you know, that sort of vibe. So yeah, I think once the fun is there, then the productivity will kind of come afterwards.
Yeah, no, man. It's yeah, like you said, it's just infinite corridors.
Yeah. How do we wrangle ourselves? You know, how do we wrangle ourselves to just? Sometimes, I mean, it's been nice this week. I've had a couple of new, you know, connections with people who've reached out to me because of Audionals, and in different relationships have struck up. You know, and there's one in particular. I'm doing you know, getting involved in a collection with some other people who I've only just met, but who are obviously they share the innovative spirit. They really want to do new stuff. They get it, and it's really nice. And it also then means they're going, okay, so this is what we need. And then it's like, oh, okay, I now have someone telling me that they need me to work on one thing for a few days, which is good. It's good for me, because otherwise I will do that thing. I'm edging forwards with, like, you know, 10 different things, none of them really getting noticeably closer to the finish line until something like that happens and someone says, oh, I've got a product that needs to use this aspect of Audionals, and then I'm like, right, okay, great, now I've got a solid mission, you know, I've got to get this thing done. And that's when I sort of make progress. So the more people who want to collaborate with me and also want to then ask things of me is great, because that's, you know, the whole, that in fact, Colour, I think we had him in a lot of chats early on. I've still been, he's been trying to get his, because he's got another player, you know, he did one of the first players, but I was just sort of saying to him how to sort of clone it, because I was like, I still don't have a marketplace, we don't really have anyone who's supporting music yet, but I was just trying to say, look, you could clone that one, but you could also take what you've written there and write it on the new sequencer, because I'm about to put the engine out for that and it'll be a lot easier. But it's like, you know, he, in the early days, he was like on my case. He discovered it and was just every day just going, what, this doesn't work properly. It was like, you know, I'm sitting there going, dude, I'm just like building this thing, like, you know, as we speak. And he would sort of, just jump, he would sort of get on my back and be like, yeah, that didn't work, that doesn't work now, it worked yesterday. But it was really good, because it really motivated me, because it was like, he was someone who just really wanted to use it, and was saying, man, I could use this for live DJing. You know, imagine like playing a live DJ set and all the sounds are like on chain, you know, like, and like I can even record like the mix that I do over several hours could be recorded in quite a small recursive file, which can then be used to replay my entire set, because I was using all on-chain elements. You know, it's like you can make a recording which you can then just play back in a JSON. So it's like, okay, I've made a recording, but because we all share the same hard drive and I was playing music that was all on this hard drive and all effects that were on this hard drive, all I've got to do is give you this tiny JSON file and that's it. Or all I've got to do is inscribe that tiny JSON file and now I can sell it to you. Yeah, big stuff. Big stuff.
Yeah, man. I'm excited.
I think we should probably wrap it up, dude. But thanks heaps for coming and joining me, man. It's always awesome chatting with you, Nat. And,
you too, sir. You too. My mind is already blown for tonight. So, yeah, I've got that distraction. I'm gonna have to just. I've got Audionals open in a tab like all the time anyway, because I'm always trying to see if I can sneak in under the feeds when they go down. But obviously, just not been too successful at grabbing it.
Well, once we get this synth out as well, I need people to just start playing and start inscribing, because then someone could get the synth and get a really interesting sound, and then inscribe a sound that maybe no one else could quite get to, and then inscribe that as like a 300 byte file, and now we can start creating sample CDs and stuff that are all procedurally generated. I mean, that spins me out. You'll have a sample CD that also is just, it sounds like a sample CD, but actually it's just executing code that is getting you to that point. And then someone else could take a sample from it. It's like forking. It's like when you heard about chains forking. That's what's kind of going on here. It's almost the metaverse way. Everything becomes a fractal, but it's like
it is.
You're just forking a production chain. So if we go back to that example of someone finishing a mastered track, it's like you can see that entire, it's written like a series of instructions, and you can go, oh, I really loved it up until step 3 when he put the reverb on there, so I'm going to fork that sound pre-reverb, and now it's off to have another life. And it was like cut halfway out of this song. It's insane that it does.
It's like bitmap, right? This is like sound map.
So I need to look back into bitmap as well, because again, this is another thing that has largely passed me by, because I've just been, head down, kind of working on what I'm working on, really.
The ultimate audio mapping tool built in the world's most secure network.
Okay.
I'm saying that's what the Audionals suite should be. That should be the strapline, the ultimate audio mapping tool.
Oh, I've got. What am I trying to do here? I've done something weird. Oh, there you go. Okay, cool. I might I've got some music queued up here. I might try and play a little bit of something to see us out.
Lead us out with.
Let's see what I've got here. Inscription. Did I already play this one? Jazzy.
There is another way to make money.
For anyone who's ever suffer the incompetence of a bank or bristle at fees involved in spending money, the promise of Bitcoin is a kind of holy grail of payments. Virtual online currency was traded back in 2009 by a Japanese hacker. Bitcoins are booming. Totally anonymous. Other computers on a worldwide system called the Internet. You can send and receive mail to and from people all over the world.
The violence broke out around 1 o'clock this afternoon on Hollywood Boulevard, right in front of the Hollywood Highland complex. Witnesses suspect took a metal spike off her work truck and suddenly started smashing the windows on the cruiser. He took out every window in the vehicle except for the front dash, then casually reaches into the car and rips out the officer's computer and simply walks away. I couldn't believe what I was seeing.
Dad can log on 24 hours a day and find out what the email mailman has dropped off.
From high technology, the computer store. Introducing Apple II, the easy-to-operate home computer. Just hook it up to your TV to create dazzling color displays. Or you can... Kids! Or you can... Kids! Or you can... Kids!
Where drugs, porn, and murder hide online, there is something called the Silk Road.